Hi everyone, I have no idea if I'm in frame. It just occurred to me I am making a whole bunch of caramelized onions for a camping trip. And caramelized onions are an amazing thing, so I thought I would just do a quick video. It's all handheld and it'll be a bit choppy, but you know, come along in my kitchen with me. This is Durga Fuller and this is caramelized onions. So here's the deal. You're chopping up your onions, and I will show you how to do that in a minute. I'm doing a bunch because I'm cooking for about 25, and you can see I've got a big bag. One nice thing about the onions is that you don't have to get organic. It is on one of the Clean 15 onions, I think, or maybe on top of the list. So don't be afraid to go ahead and spend a little less money if you want. If you can get organic, you can afford it, that's great. But non-organic onions are not going to hurt you as badly as, you know, some of the other things like celery, and you don't want to get strawberries or apples non-organic, but onions are okay. So I'm doing a whole bunch. You don't have to do this many, and you want it to get brown. So if you can see back here, it's starting to get a little bit brown, so just know that that's actually what you're looking for. Just a quick refresher. I know if you've seen some of my other videos, you can see this, but you want to get your finger in a claw and just slice on your onions. Whoop. Let's get a fresh one so you can just see that. Take off your ends. Okay. Make a little bit of a cut along here and get that outer layer off. You want to try to get off anything that's like that. That's, you know, this one actually has a bit of a layer that has gone rotten. So usually I just pull that out, and you can just get rid of that layer. See, that's nasty. The rest of it's fine. Put it back together, because the more it's back together, the easier it's going to be to slice. It's really hard to slice little pieces. Got my claw here, so if the knife slips, it's not going to cut my finger. It's just going to hit my knuckle. Alrighty. So I'll come back and show you more in a minute. So here we are, a couple minutes later. You can see it's starting to brown nicely. I'm actually going to add more to this. But I wanted you to see what it starts to look like. But this is not done to my taste, but it's starting to get there. Just a little bit of that nice caramelized brown. It sweetens it up. And, oh my God, caramelized onions are some of the most amazing things. I'm actually making a meat sauce out of this. I'm going to be browning up some ground beef, some good grass-fed ground beef, and I'll mix it in later with some broth. But this is going to give it this amazing sweet caramelized flavor. So more soon. All right, so this, let me show you. You can see how there's quite a bit of this browning going on down here. Now, to a certain extent, you want that. You can see it more around the edges here. But what you don't necessarily want is a whole lot of this. Okay, so as you see it and you're stirring, you want to scrape. I always use a wooden spoon. This is my preference. You can use metal if you want, if you've got a good stainless steel pan. But you want to kind of, you're rubbing that up, because if it gets too heavy, you're just going to get a layer of burn on the bottom. And if it gets to the point where you can't rub it up very much, I'm going to show you here. I'm just pouring a little bit of water in there, just a little bit. Pour a little cold water, and then it'll come up. Did you see that little spot come up? It comes up much easier with just a little bit of water. So you don't want to overdo the water, because you need the caramelization. That's what you're looking for. So you want it to get brown. It's a fine line that you're walking between. See, that's starting to come up. It's a fine line you're walking between burn and a nice browning. So you want to stir it and keep on stirring it as you're going. You stir, 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 keeping an eye on it. It's not something you can really leave for long periods of time. Unless you put it in your crock pot, that's another way to do it. Put a whole bunch in your crock pot, put it on low, and leave it overnight. That's a nice, easy way, but I'm doing it by hand this time. All right, more soon. One thing I forgot to say too is you want to salt it. The salt helps the onions release their liquid, And if you're doing a whole bunch, you want to kind of salt as you go. And it also really is a nice contrast to the sweet flavor, the salt and the sweet. I think the salt actually brings out the sweet more because your tongue tastes the contrast. All right, so this is nice steam here. Woo, look at that steam. So this is all the onions I'm going to do. It's 5 pounds of onions. You see, it's a nice big stock pot, and it's come up to about halfway. It should get even more condensed than this. Excuse me. You can see there's still a little bit of browning. As it gets more, as it starts to cook down, it releases some of its own liquids, and you don't have to be quite as careful. I usually start my onions out on a somewhat high heat, not high, but somewhat high. And then as it starts to get more browned like this, you may want to turn it down. So you just kind of feel your way through it. So you want it to be cooking slowly. I used to make caramelized onions at a home-delivered entree service that I worked for a number of years, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And the chef there used to do his onions really fast, and it always, they would look kind of burned, and they were still kind of crispy in the middle, and when he would give them to me, I would do them much slower, and I actually won him over. He started doing his caramelized onions slower too, so expect this to take a while if you really want that nice, soft, sweet flavor. You're going to be spending probably 45 minutes if you're just doing a few onions. This quantity, I'm expecting that I will be letting these cook down for at least an hour, maybe even more than that. But it's really worth the time that you spend on it. And like I said, you can do this in your crock pot. I haven't done it that way. I'd like to try it soon, but I've heard that you can put 5 pounds in your crock pot and let it go overnight, and you'll have nice caramelized onions in the morning. You do want to put some ghee in the bottom of this. I started with ghee. You can use whatever fat you like. I love the flavor of ghee in it. I wouldn't use butter. Butter kind of caramelizes before you really want it to caramelize. But ghee is a great one, which is clarified butter. All right, we'll come back later when I'm ready to kind of do the finishing processes with this, but I'm just going to let this go and get super sweet. Sweet. All right, we're going to do some garlic on this as well, so just show you how I take the garlic apart. Sometimes it's hard. This one is, it's a nice tight garlic head. That's how you want to check for garlic. You want to make sure it's nice and firm. You don't want it soft. But then sometimes it's kind of hard to get into those cloves. If you find you're having trouble, just kind of take the layers off. Take a layer off at a time, and eventually you will start to uncover the edges of these cloves. Then you get your nail in there and pull them apart. I'm going to do a whole head of garlic in this. I might actually do more than that, but I'll just show you how to get these cloves out. So you separate the cloves, and you take the flat of your knife and give it a little crunch. All right, so you see that? Opened it up a little bit, and then it will just slip right out of its shell there. And then I call myself a rustic cook, so everything is quick and dirty. Sometimes you could say that's lazy, but I really like, I don't mind things chunky. So for this, that's about all I'm going to do with these, is just that chunky. And it will soften down as well. You don't put this in till towards the end, because these will actually caramelize faster than the onions, and you don't want them to get burnt. So I'll put this in towards the end, and you'll see what else I'll do. Alrighty, we're back again. This has gotten to the point where I am ready to put the, get it out of the steam so you can see it a little better. I'm ready to put the garlic in. So you can see there's like one white piece over here. I don't know if I can, here, that piece right there. So that tells me that if there's a few pieces like that still, it's telling me it's not quite done. This could get sweeter. But it's still pretty sweet. I just tasted it. And so now I'm going to put the garlic in it, so the garlic can also have a chance to do its thing in there. And we'll be rocking and rolling. I mean, we've been rocking and rolling. There's the garlic going in. All right, this is the next stage. See you in a minute. All right, so here we are. This is the stage at which I really love it. It's getting, you can see there's much less, the little spots of white there are the garlic. But mostly it is broken down. There may be a couple of little pieces that have not really cooked down, but I like it like this. So at this point now, I like to add, guess so you see it, some balsamic vinegar. Make sure it's in focus there. I get it at Trader Joe's. I hope this is one of the ones. Some of them have sugar in them, I know. I've taken a little bit out for myself and my son. Both my sons, actually, for various reasons. They can't have this kind of vinegar or the sugar that might be in it. So anyway, this is where you get to add some flavor. I'm putting quite a bit in. Like I said, this is 5 pounds. You would just put a little splash of it if you're just doing a few onions. And that was probably about a half of this bottle. So I'm going to let this cook. Now this is going to caramelize it even more because of the sugars, whether they're added sugars or the sugars you really want to be in balsamic vinegar. It's a very sweet vinegar, and it adds to the caramelized flavor. It gives it a little bit of an acidic bite, which gives it some nice balance. And then I'm also going to put in probably about a tablespoon or so of thyme. Thyme is the one dried herb that I like to put in my caramelized onions. So you see how, I mean, that's just like candy. It's taffy. All right, so I'll put a couple tablespoons of thyme in here. We'll cook it for a few more minutes. This has been cooking for almost an hour and a half. So an hour and a half of heat gone into that. Totally broken down. And you can see here's the level of it right here. When I filled it up with onions, it was up to here. So that's how much volume it has lost. Alrighty, more soon. So here it is. I've taken this out for my son and myself, and it's like candy. You can use this on steaks. This is basically the base for French onion soup, and the longer you take with it, the better it's going to taste. Bon appetit. Bye.